visionary, an entrepreneur, a business owner. You want to make money from your passion and create the freedom that you've dreamed of. But it's slow. The income is slow, the impact is slow, and the freedom is slow. And here's the kicker. You've actually never been busier. You're working longer than ever, burning through daylight, and your family have forgotten who you are. You're tired and frustrated and you can't even sleep well at night. The business just feels so heavy, and all you ever wanted to do was just make the money you want to make doing the things that you want to do. And that's where I come in. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm the host of the Business Acceleration Podcast, where we shift your business from heavy to light, time poor to time abundant, and from income lack to income growth. We're going to achieve it together with my 20 years experience as a psychologist, helping people just like you to break through their barriers. And we're going to throw in a little of the woo as well. So thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Acceleration Podcast. I am so pleased that you're here today because I want to share with you some insights around how to write copy that converts for your website, for your marketing, and all those sorts of things. Now, I think it's important that we have a talk about this because it's something that doesn't tend to rank very highly on many of our lists of priorities because we're very busy doing things like organizing appointments, doing other sorts of admin tasks that are requiring us to work in the business rather than on it. And hey guys, if you're looking to fill those books, then you absolutely need to listen to this episode today because I'm going to help you do that. Now, I've been working with private practice owners in Australia, America, France, Canada, and the UK for about 18 months now, and I've had the opportunity to be a guest speaker for many of them, as well as provide groups, as well as deliver one-to-one coaching. And you know, when you get to work with so many people, patterns begin to emerge, don't they? And one of the things that has emerged with the people that I have been lucky to work with has been this serious lack of, I guess, compelling copy on websites. Everything starts to look very much the same as the website that I looked at before. You know, there are some common things I think that are quite typical for a therapy website. And they're things like in your About section, you're talking about the strategies and the tools that you're using. You're talking about your qualifications. You're talking about, you know, the practice. And the thing is that just does not resonate with clients now. You know, marketing has come such a long way, and with, you know, technology like it is, of course, it's constantly evolving at a much faster rate than ever before. So what this means for you guys is that while you might have started your practice 10 years ago or 20 years ago like I did, and it was enough to put up a website with a About section that spoke all about you, we just can't do that anymore. We're in a day and age now where clients are looking for connection. And think about it like this. If you went on a blind date and you were sitting across the table from someone who just spoke about themselves for the whole hour, where's that going to leave your level of interest? You're probably not going to book them for a second date, right? Versus somebody who comes and sits down with you and they're actually having a conversation with you that speaks your language, that really resonates with where you are at the moment and where you would rather be, right? Okay, so I won't make this too long of an episode because I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I just want to give you the bare bones and a strategy that I taught in the webinar yesterday that I went into more detail there. So if you missed it, you'll be able to grab it off the website, and I'll put the link in the show notes. If you registered for it, then you get a link to the replay and you'll be able to watch that. But for the rest of you, here's kind of like the really short version. I guess what you want to do is think about a specific client problem. And so it doesn't work if you just do what a lot of practices do and say, I treat anxiety and depression and ADHD and autism and borderline personality disorder and this and no. When it comes to copywriting for your marketing, it's more effective if you focus on a very specific area. I'm not talking about your niche in your practice. I'm talking about the thing that you're writing about. So consider a blog post maybe. You want to think of something very specific. And the example that I used in the webinar was thinking about test-taking anxiety for an adolescent or test-taking anxiety for a teenager. Okay, maybe somebody who's doing year 11 or year 12. And what you want to do is bring to mind that person. And I guess if I asked you to write some information for your website that would, encourage that person to book an appointment with you, you're probably going to write the usual things like, we specialize, or not specialize, but we utilize CBT, for example, and it's been shown to get really great results, and we can help you too, and book an appointment, right? That's not going to speak to a parent, and it's not going to speak to the person that you're going to be or wanting to be working with. Versus if you're able to think about what the experience of test-taking anxiety might be like for your ideal client. And we do that in 4 ways. So the first way is to imagine what the person is thinking about taking the test. So what are they thinking to themselves? Are they thinking, I can't do it, I'm never going to pass, this is going to be horrible? Okay, think about what they're thinking about and take some bullet points. You only need 2, 3, or 4. After you've looked at what they're thinking about, I want you to consider what they're feeling. So how are they feeling about taking the test? They're feeling avoidant, they're feeling apprehensive, they're feeling embarrassed perhaps, ashamed, maybe guilty, whatever feelings you think. Ask yourself what they're saying to their friends about taking the test. So maybe they're saying to their friends, I'm not going to bother studying, or what's the point, or we're never going to use this stuff anyway, or, whatever they might be saying. And then the 4th thing is, what are they doing when it comes to taking the test? So if you're a fly on the wall and you could watch them at home, what are they doing the night before the test? They're avoiding getting the books out. They're avoiding conversations with mum and dad, trying to dodge them in case they ask how the study's going. They're locking themselves in their room, so it gives off the illusion that they're studying, but they're really on the Xbox. And, maybe they're avoiding friends who might be studying because, it's making them feel bad that they're not. So when you've got that information, that's really great, because now you can already start to see how this is coming together, okay? You're starting to get a really clear picture of what this problem is like for your client. And now the second step is to think about all of those factors again, but in terms of how they're going to be thinking, feeling, what they'll be saying and doing after they've had counselling with you, or after they've had coaching or support from you. So again, you only want to write down a few bullet points under each of these headings, but think about, now that they've finished counselling with you, what are they now thinking to themselves about taking the test? They're thinking to themselves, yeah, I feel like I can do this now. I don't think this is going to be as hard as I anticipated. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling like I can handle any pressure or stress on the day because I've got some techniques up my sleeve, right? They might be thinking things like that. How might they be feeling? They might be feeling more prepared. They might be feeling more confident. They might be feeling more at ease within themselves going into the exam. They might be feeling more clear-headed or clear-minded. They might be feeling like they can concentrate better now. They're not so distracted by all these worrying thoughts that they were having before, okay? What are they saying to their friends, and what are they saying to mum and dad now that they've finished counselling with you when they're getting ready to go for the exam? Well, they're probably saying things to their friends like, hey, how are you going with your study? What did you think of this question? What did you think of that question? They might be saying to mum and dad, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I'm feeling much better about the exam coming up, okay? And then think about what they're doing. So they might be doing things to actually get prepared. They might actually be studying. They might be talking to the teacher after class to get some final pointers. They might be online looking at extra resources and things like that. They might be making sure they get an early night the night before the test so that they feel ready and good to go in the morning. So what you've essentially done here is you've pulled together how the client's feeling now and how they're going to be feeling after they've worked with you. And now what you want to do is put the bridge in there. And the bridge between where they are now and where they want to be tomorrow is your service. Whether that's an online course, whether that's your face-to-face direct client work, whether it's counseling, coaching. But we need to now speak to how what you do is the bridge that's going to get them from there to here. Okay? And so when you do that, instead of saying, oh, it's going to be an evidence-based technique and that doesn't actually, that's not going to resonate with your client, maybe you say something that perhaps instead tells a bit of a story about their journey. So you might say something like, when you first book an appointment with us, we will send you an email, and in that email you're going to receive some information that explains a little bit about who we are and how we work. There's going to be a couple of forms in there for you to fill out, and that's going to give us a really clear picture of where things are at for you at the moment and where you'd like to go. When you come along for your first appointment, it's a good idea to come a few minutes early so that you can get settled in. And we want to really maximize the time that we have together. And, I know that it's really a big step for many people to come along and get some counseling or some therapy. And so, here at ABC Psychology, we do our very, very best to make sure that everybody feels welcome. And some of the ways that we do that, we're going to make sure that the room's a good temperature, that, the practice smells nice. We've got refreshment stands where you can help yourself to warm or cool drinks and, a little snack. We've got literature on the table to help you on your journey. We've got headphones in reception so you can listen to a meditation while you wait for your therapist. All right, things like that. When you have your first session, this is what you're going to experience, and we'll make a treatment plan for you, and we'll, all of that. So you're just describing, you're telling the story of the journey, okay? And you can mention CBT or whatever approach you want. You can mention it, but it's not the focus. The focus is the client. The focus is holding the client's hand as you're explaining the journey to them so that they feel like you're right there every step of the way and you're going to be supporting them. So when you have done that, then what happens is you've now got your before, you've got your after, and you've got the bridge in the middle. When you've put that all together, you have a very powerful piece of copy that you're now able to use. You can use it on your website, you can use it on your flyers, you can use it in your email marketing, you can create social posts with it, so much. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be long. It might only be, a paragraph for, when you have anxiety, sometimes it feels like, and you say these, you think these things, and maybe you do these things and stuff like that. Imagine what it could be like for you if you were able to walk more confidently into that exam, knowing that you had strategies that you could draw upon as soon as you started to feel those nerves bubbling to the surface again. Imagine what it would feel like going into the exam, having had a good night's sleep because you weren't up worrying about it the night before. Well, all of this can be your reality. It can absolutely be your experience, because here at ABC Psychology, we really love helping people with test-taking anxiety. In fact, many of our clients are students, just like you, and we help them create these experiences, and we want to show you what could be possible for you as well. And you might put a little disclaimer on there that says something like, this is an example of a typical client journey, but we need to keep in mind that everybody's results are going to be different. And okay, so you put that in there too. But anyway, your story's only going to be maybe 3 paragraphs tops. And then for those of you who are interested, because somebody sent me an email about this before the webinar yesterday and they asked me to address it. Somebody was asking me about SEO and how copywriting could improve your SEO. And this is the thing. you see the process we've just used here. We've been in the client's point of view. We've been thinking about things from their perspective. That's a very different angle to write from compared to what we think people want to read. Okay, and the definition of copywriting is rearranging words to sell or market something. And you can see here through our process, that's exactly what we're doing, isn't it? We've come up with, 3 or 4 things they're thinking before and after, saying before and after, doing before and after, and feeling before and after. And then we're going to rearrange all of that to make our copy. So when you're looking at SEO for your website, what is very, very helpful in terms of bumping you up in the Google rankings without you paying any money towards advertising is to create individual tabs. Maybe you have a tab for, test-taking anxiety in this situation, and then you just put that paragraph in there. Now, that copy that we just talked about. And what you would do is on that page in 2 or 3 different spots, you would also have a very clear call to action. Make it super simple. Tell the client what you want them to do next. So you might put a button on there that says get help now, or it might say start now, or it might say call now, or book here, or something like that. And maybe that button makes a phone call to reception and they take care of, converting that inquiry into a booking for you. Or maybe it takes them to an online booking system so they can take care of their own appointments. Okay, but it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you have minimum 3 calls to action on that page. Alrighty. So you want to have like a different tab for each of your areas. Okay, it doesn't matter how many tabs you've got. You can put them in a little drop-down menu if that makes it easier. And the other thing to remember with your SEO is you want to go into Google and you want to do a search for the topic that you've just written your copy about. So maybe you write, and you think about what a client is going to type into Google when they're looking for you. So for us, maybe because we're based in Frankston, Victoria, we might say test-taking anxiety help Frankston. And then what's going to happen is Google's going to bring up a whole lot of results. If you scroll to the bottom of that first page of results, Google actually tells you what the other keywords were that people were looking for. And so what you can do is use that information and incorporate most of those words into the copy that you've just prepared. Okay, so you want to use the words psychologist, Frankston, test-taking anxiety, after hours, or availability, or fees, or whatever those other words were. Okay, so that's a little trick that you can use there. And the value of having each of the different services in its own tab is, again, it ranks the service higher in Google than if you've just got everything generically positioned on the website. And the value of having things rank higher in Google is it makes your business easier to find by the candidates that you want to be helping and working with. And this helps you achieve your impact goals and your income goals. Okay, so that's that. And speaking of impact and income goals, I'm super excited to tell you that on the 24th of March, I'm launching how to recruit in private practice. So how to find your next candidate in private practice. And this is something I've been helping private practice owners with for a little while. You might have seen all the posts going around lately of all the wins and successes that my clients have been having. After, many months of trying to find people, they're getting ideal applicants within hours now of being able to post positions. And, somebody was saying, oh, you need to help more people with this. And I went away thinking, yeah, actually I do. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. But then I've kind of come to the idea that perhaps delivering an online course would be a great way of letting people sort of do it themselves. So DIY online course, teaching you step by step all the things that you can do to help you find the ideal client. And as I said, it's launching at the end of a webinar for something else that I'm running on the 24th of March. But you can go on a waiting list And for people who buy within, I think it's before the 30th of March, they're going to get 50% off. So it's, instead of being $997, it's going to be $497, and there's $50 payment plans. The idea is really just to get people started so that they can have these tools and get more of the right people working in their practice, so that then they can start to really call in the right sorts of people, increase their income and increase their impact. So that's happening. And also on the 24th of March, enrolment is opening again for 5 places only for the 90-day coaching program that begins on the 1st of April. And already applications are coming through. It is quite competitive. So if you're on the fence about it, that's okay. Maybe apply another time. But if you do want to apply, you need to get your applications in quick, smart, because, yes, they're being assessed at the moment and holding interviews for that coaching program. So I will put a link to the both of those in the show notes for you. And yeah, if you have any feedback about this episode, please let me know. Do leave a review, because it helps me help more business owners, and I love to do that. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. Have a wonderful Saturday. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. Help me help others by sharing this podcast. And if you feel called to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, remember to let me know so that I can send you a very special thank you gift. Now go and build your dream business, and I will see you next time. Bye.